the homeowner installed solar on their roof. When we communicate with the subcontractor, that subcontractor might cancel on them. A lot of corners were cut and they didn't do the flashing properly.
If your roof leaks 2 weeks later after a test inspection, you still have headaches.
A lot of leaks. The solar panels actually don't even work at the moment.
Do you have like a state Department of Labor or something where people can file a complaint?
The microinverters were installed improperly, the flashing, the stanchions weren't done per manufacturer specs.
The company's still in business? What's up, insiders? In this video, I will share ugly truth about solar and roofing collaboration. So many people have asked me, what do I think about solar? A lot of my industry peers, a lot of my friends trying to pursue solar, try to add it to their business model. And I've done my research. I follow Elon Musk and what happened to Tesla roofing system, solar roofs. I talked to a few insiders who work for Tesla, and I understand what went wrong and why Tesla failed on this market. Nothing pretty about solar yet. If you're the homeowner and you're considering to buy solar roof, or if you're the contractor who deciding to offer solar system, I'm gonna give you 5 tips. I'm gonna give you my personal opinion, and if you're a solar expert, if you don't agree with me, or you want to teach me how your solar system is superior and how I'm wrong and you are right, please reach out. I'm gonna put my information in a link below in description. I would like to talk to my solar guys because I think the future is in a solar, but the ugly reality is we're not there yet. I love Elon Musk. I love everything Elon Musk does, but Elon Musk and his mentality, his methods, if you will, are sometimes deceiving. Elon Musk likes to make very good presentation. He likes to portray this dream, how he's gonna change the world. About 10 years ago, you cannot buy a skill saw with a battery. The technology was there, but the batteries were not big enough for that tool to work. Most tools 10-15 years ago had cords. Drills were the first tool that were adopted cordless technology, started having batteries on them. But it took about 10 years to add the rest of the tools. And the problem was the technology that goes into batteries. That's like the biggest thing. Similar problems happening today in the solar market. Technology kind of there, but not there yet. And as a result, people are paying premium price. Now, if you're in California, if you're in Florida, math is a little bit different, but you have a lot of people in the middle. If you're not careful, you will overpay, not because technology is so expensive, but because industry and players are so greedy that in your lifetime, you might not get return on investment. People only stay in their houses for about 5 years. Even people who have purchased Tesla roofs, they're already testifying, they're saying, they only did it to support Tesla. And of course, Tesla is not the only player. We have many other players, but it takes years to get your money back. Unless you use government incentives, tax credits, and grants of different kinds. I remember my company, we installed one in 2013, it was metal roof, and the lady got grant from energy company locally, so the roof was $30,000, she got $15,000 incentive. So unless you're getting some cash infusion, financially speaking, most of the time it does not make sense. Last year we traveled to California and I've seen the roof that cost homeowner $120,000. They thought they have a deal, but that solar company actually messed up the roofing system, and the homeowner told us they did not even own the roof, they were leasing. So not only they paid premium price, but they also were leasing it, and financially speaking, it was disaster on top of all the roofing leaks that they had. And I'll talk about that story a little bit later in the video. If you're the consumer in this transaction, you are getting screwed. People in the middle, financing companies, brokers, salespeople, their margins are so high that they're pretty much making it worse for everyone. I love the idea of solar, and if I've reviewed few $50,000 solar jobs, in reality, if the homeowner would get it for $20,000-$25,000, it would actually make sense. I'm all for profits. I'm all for businesses to be profitable and have healthy margins. But if you say you're helping the planet, if you say you're helping homeowners, you have to be transparent. And if you're the one who's getting, $8,000 check on $50,000 job, something just screams at me as a greed. You don't have to get paid as much. I feel like a lot of people in the industry right now, it's wild, wild west in the industry. They're taking advantage of people who just don't know and want to buy into this idea. And because we don't have many players, they can get away with it. But in my observation, people in the middle, it could be finance companies, it could be salespeople, it could be those brokers who sell the labor. Those are the ones who's screwing it for the rest of us. Solar companies are not often roofing companies. They don't understand the roofing systems. They don't understand the roofing integrity. And I've seen it in California. An example I already showed you, and that was one of the worst jobs I've seen. You're talking about 100,000 plus job when solar company came in and screwed their system on existing roof, and the roof was leaking. Homeowner have many tenants actually started living, and the homeowner was suing the solar company. She could not replace it or remove it or repair it because under contract she was leasing. Absolute legal nightmare. Have to be very careful who you hire to do the solar. Make sure you investigate, do your homework, make sure maybe talk to people who already use them. Solar is very expensive item. You want to make sure that whoever touches your roof understand what your roof is all about. What kind of roofing system you have. Do you have clay? Do you have concrete? Do you have shingles? How are they gonna mount it? Are they gonna compromise the shingles? How are they gonna seal it? What kind of brackets they have? If you have a metal roof, you have to have special clips. There are just a lot of little things. So I would make sure that your roofer, if you have one, will have sign off on their work at the end. They're literally leasing the system from the solar company. The problem with that is obviously maintenance and obviously your roofing system. Because if you have a roofer who gave you the warranty and you hire a solar company to install solar panels and you don't own that solar panels, which means you cannot remove it, you cannot touch it, you cannot replace it, you're gonna be in a big pickle. And this is exactly what we have in California. I'll let you watch the clip with a local roofer who showed us that because he was trying to help the homeowner, but his hands were tied because homeowner have a contract with the solar company that they're not the owner of the solar system. So be very careful, read the fine print, maybe show it to your lawyer. If you're spending 100,000 plus on a system, you don't want to compromise expensive roof on top of that. So those are my top 5 points. I am looking for trusted solar companies that I can promote on this channel. I understand that solar is here to stay. We have done our investigation. I have friends who are very successful and they're very profitable, but I also have whistleblowers from big companies who are giving me ugly information. I've talked to ex-Tesla employees, obviously they have NDAs. I have the homeowners who've purchased a lot of solar roofs, had big nightmares. All in all, I don't like, and solar industry today does not excite me, but future is bright. They will figure it out, just like we figure out in the car market, we have more and more electric cars, we will have more and more solar roofs, but it will take some time. I want to report to you when I see good players, when I see good change, maybe you can help me. And again, if you work with someone who is trustworthy and you can recommend and swear by them, I would like to review that system. Reach out to us, let's partner up, let's make our world a little bit better. If you like this video, give it a like. Now the promised story. Let's see what happened in California last year and how bad it can get if you hire the wrong company to do your solar. We're in Escondido, California. This is a spicy one. This is the story of nasty business practices, solar contractor who is not backing up his work. We're about to tell you the full story, but Unfortunately, I run it as a story because I see a trend. A lot of people are getting into solar these days because it's popular, because demand is there, and because there's a lot of money in it, between financing the solar roof, between the whole thing. Unfortunately, if you the homeowner pay attention, you might have absolute nightmare. Solar goes on a roof, and it has in company that installs solar have to understand the roofing system. This job, I just watched few details. It's absolute nightmare for the homeowner, for the contractor. Tell me what's going on here, man.
So around 2019, the homeowner installed solar on their roof. A lot of corners were cut and they didn't do the flashing properly. And what happened was, if you don't do the flashing properly, it ends up going inside your home. So right now she's dealing with a lot of leaks. The solar panels actually don't even work at the moment. They did a couple of things bad with the breaker. The microinverters were installed improperly, the flashing, the stanchions weren't done per manufacturer specs. They use one manufacturer with another, so there's two different manufacturers.
Is the company still in business?
I believe so.
What's the name of the company?
She would have that information. I do not have it, but I know that there was a sub from SunPower. So SunPower was the main panel. That's what the panels are, SunPower.
Got it. And you see a lot of tell me about that subcontracting world of solar industry.
Yeah, so if you do with those bigger if you contract with those bigger companies, what happens is, what we do, we like to be in contact with solar companies just so we could explain the process to the homeowner, how to do it properly as far as mounting the system onto your roof. Some solar companies, they have their own crew once they sold it, and then they come out and then we interact with, or we communicate with them to make sure that they get a proper roof install along with the solar. The bigger companies, they sell work and then they sub it out. And what happens with that is, when we communicate with the subcontractor, that subcontractor might cancel on them, or they might be too busy and they've already scheduled the install for the solar. So they just find whoever is available and then they come and install the solar and do the flashings improper, and they end up getting leaks.
Sure. What's crazy here is, number one, we're in California, so if this job would be in Seattle, it would be absolutely disaster by now. But in California, it does not leak a lot. That's number one factor. Number two, it's actually concrete tile roof. They screwed on top of the tile, through the tile, all the way through the deck, and looks like it.
And they also screwed onto the underlayment. So there's no base flashing currently, and there's also no secondary flashing. According to the California Tile Institute, all penetrations of the roof should have two flashings. One to shed water on the underlayment and one to shed water on the tile.
So what would be the proper way of doing it, and would it take longer? What was the shortcut? Is this like, we don't care, or we want to save money shortcut?
So the shortcut is 2 visits. They want to come out here and do 1 visit, screw in the tile after, screw in the mounts after the roof is completed. The proper process would be, we remove all the tile, remove all the underlayment, then they could see the rafters, so they could mount their posts, so they could do the tile, or they could reinstall the solar. And then after that, we would come back and repaper it, put a primary flashing and then a secondary flashing. Now all the posts will be double flashed, and then they come back and put their rail system and install their panels. The shortcut is, they don't want to come back twice. They don't want to come back to install the stanchions first and then come back again a second day to install the panels. Wow. So if we just do the roof, they'll just screw in and it'll eventually leak.
So no permits were pulled. Do they pull permits when they install solars?
Some solar companies do.
Are they required in California?
In any city like Escondido, depending on your local building codes or what city you're working in, that'll depend if you need permits.
Did they pull a permit here?
Yes, they did.
And did they pass it?
They passed inspection. They They went to go look at the breaker, everything, and everything passed. And right now,
That's crazy. And here's another tip for the homeowners. So many homeowners think that that inspection will protect you, that inspection will, well, it's almost like a quality control. Inspection is not a quality control. The way I look at inspection is it's literally just documentation and registration, who did the work. So later they can find the person who did the work. So it's those inspectors, they're not the roofers. Oftentimes they don't always know the code. I see it as a stupid tax. You literally pay, and that inspection fee or the permit fee goes into a public record who did the work. That's it. You're not protected. Whether you did inspection or you didn't do inspection, whether it's passed or didn't pass, there's no warranty. It's not like, oh, city passed on it, now I have 10-year warranty. It means nothing. If your roof leaks 2 weeks later after it passed inspection, you still have headaches. The only thing the city can do, and the only reason people recommend permits and recommend licensed contractors is because city have leverage. If you complain to the city after they pass inspection that there's a problem with the job, city can re-inspect it, and city can actually go after a contractor and say, hey, you're doing these jobs wrong, homeowners are complaining. Because now you can, do you have like a state Department of Labor or something when people can file a complaint to get reimbursed? Because in Minnesota we have like a contractor's fund. So if a contractor screw the homeowner after he pulled a permit and stuff like that, state can actually reimburse and pay to make it correct.
like, are you speaking about a bond?
Not a bond. I'm talking about on the state level. So it's like in Minnesota, contractors pay a fee to be a contractor, and there's a contractor's fund that a homeowner can file. It's almost like, it's not a lawsuit. You file a complaint against the contractor with a license holder, and they can they have a fund that they can make it right. So like, for example, if you install the wrong materials or stuff like that, and contractors nowhere to be found, so the city in that instance can go after a contractor saying, well, we're going to suspend your license, we're not going to let you keep doing it because we know what you're doing, but we also have to reimburse this homeowner. They don't always do it, and there's a process, but we do have an.
There might be one here, but not that I'm aware of. Not that I'm aware of currently.
But at least you can, as a homeowner, the only benefit that you have with the licensed contractor and contractor who does permits, you can report him.
Yes, sir.
You know, even after the fact, because sometimes even those inspectors, they don't see everything.
Yeah, but sometimes they just come, show up, sign it off, and then depending on how busy their day is.
So what's happening with the damage here? Do you know how much this job was?
As far as the
Like
solar goes,
cost of solar?
I think it was somewhere close to
$85,000. Tell me about this homeowner. So this is actually, it looks like residential, and this is a residential house, but it was turned into commercial property. So there's a few rentals here, and leaks were so bad, my understanding, that people actually have to leave because of the mildew.
Yes, it just smells like wet material, wet drywall, wet plywood, wet insulation.
What's really happening, guys, is this. I have a really old friend who gave me this advice about education. He said, why do we send, like, let's say you work on airplanes. Let's say your job requires just putting screws in the wing of the airplane, right? Why do you need a degree for something like that? It's manual labor. Well, here's the answer. When you have a degree in, let's say, engineering, and even if you're doing manual labor, you understand the pressure that the wing will have 10,000 feet above, you know, in the skies. Like, you will understand it. It'll make you better welder or wherever manual work. So what's happening here is we have not educated laborers, even business owners, and they think it's common sense. They take the screw and they're like, oh, what will happen? Let's see. They don't understand. They never went to school. They never understand physics. They don't understand how water works, and they just think that just because at the day of install nothing bad happened, and just because they can't see what's under, they're not willing to study or read the code. They're not educated roofers. They kind of doing the basic minimum, so they cannot. People just don't listen. people don't understand how much water can get in the house through one screw.
Yeah.
And here we have what, hundreds of them. So it will not leak overnight and you're not gonna have a flood, but water will be penetrated and that water will create damage. Water in the house is bad news, especially if it touches insulation, if it sits there for some time, and now you have mildew, mold, and issues like that. And now you have $85,000 job that will cost probably, I mean, what's the damage here? What's real damage? Like the whole job has to be restarted.
It has to be restored. We have to redo all the sheething. We have to fix some rafters, do the roof, and it's steep, so that's gonna add cost. So you can't really stack tile on here, so we'd have to put them all on the floor rather than just stacking them on the actual roof. You would definitely put a batten system on here to hold the tiles. So it's just very labor intensive for something that she didn't really have to do. As you can see, the rest of her roof isn't leaking. The only places it's leaking is where the solar is installed.
Wow. So it's $85,000. Do you think it's homeowner who did not do her research or just straight fault of the subcontractor?
I do believe that the homeowner did do their research and the contractor didn't do their end of the deal. They made a lot of shortcuts and promised a lot. Even in their contract, in the contract that she signed, though, it says that they cannot be sued. They have a clause that says you cannot sue us. Yes.
Wow.
So I don't know how that would work.
But we can expose them. We can prevent other people from not doing business with them. How about that?
Yeah.
How can you charge $85,000, still be in business, still do the same shitty work probably for others, and say in your contract you cannot be sued? Are you kidding me? So we're gonna call. I'm gonna do update of this story. Keep me updated. It's an illegal action also, but they are suing them.
They are suing them. Yeah. So it's been since 2019. They've been trying to have the solar company come out and remove those panels so we could do our roof work so it stops leaking, and they haven't responded. They haven't wanted to schedule any work, and they also say that we can't touch it because it's their system. I believe it's leased.
Wow.
So
you can't fix it, you can't repair it, you can't sue them, have to live with the leaks, you're losing your tenants because it's leaking. I mean, what kind of BS is that?
Yeah. And then on top of that, I mean, it's a lease, so you don't really own the system. It's
$85,000 lease, so they have like payments?
Yeah, so it's a lease and then they borrow it. So that's how they could prevent you from removing their panels. But that's why she opened up the lawsuit. We're trying to find a way how she could get funding to remove the panels, because it's going to be out of pocket cost, the whole lawsuit.
Unbelievable. Guys, we'll keep you updated. If you're the homeowner, please be very careful with the solar companies. There's a lot of shady contractors in the space now. So solar, like, do you see it as a trend, like more and more bad players coming in?
Yes, before it was contractors. The contractors would sell a panel, like kind of like how we sell Owens Corning, and then they would install it. Now you have these bigger companies, I'm not going to say any names, but you have these bigger companies that have a sales team, super good sales team, but they lack very heavily in the production side, because they
subcontract it all.
They subcontract it all.
And with the subs, you can get something like that. So read your contract, make sure there's nothing shady there. Is there anything in the contract about installation methods, like that they're gonna follow the code, or like, for example, this is concrete tile, so there's manufacturer specifications to it, you know, like Concrete Institute of...
Yes, sir. So from what I've seen, they all have pretty much a similar quote, and it tells you your monthly cost, the cost of the whole project, how many kilowatts you're gonna have on the system, how many panels, how much energy you're going to be using or you're going to be saving, but they never mention the racking system. So I don't really see the racking system, which is very important. That's going to support the panels. So you're going to have a certain racking system to be able to install flashing onto the tiles. So what they like to do now is they like to just screw into the actual tile and then to the deck, and they just put like a butyl tape above the screw, and they don't mention anything about racking or how they're going to mount the system. They just say how much you're saving, how much kilowatts you're going to get out of this system.
So we're gonna pretty much do something to your roof. We're gonna alter and compromise your roofing system to sell you energy savings, but then if we messed up your roofing system, you cannot sue us. That's absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing. Keep me updated, guys. I'm gonna do follow up with that. For right now, we don't recommend the company, obviously, who's doing this until we see some changes. Maybe if you're a representative from this company, we want to hear from you what the solution would be. This is just not fair market practice. This homeowner does not deserve what they got, especially for this price tag. So I want to hear from you. If there's other end of this story, I want to hear it, because if there's two parties in the conflict, and especially in legal action, I want to give both parties, room to share their story. But I don't think there's other one. You're in the wrong. Fix it. Be a good guy in the business. Go fix your shit. Move on to the next job. Don't run away from your problems.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for sharing, man.
Not a problem.